We were prepping for the show tonight, and we got to her story, and it was like, oh my God, who's going after that? So I'm the fool that's going after that. It's just so powerful. It's so powerful what clinicians go through every day. It's powerful what patients get and glean from their providers. I am not a clinician, but I am a patient. And I had a remarkable relationship with my mother, who was a patient. And before we invite our next storyteller on the stage, I want to give a bit of an homage to my mother, who is not with us, thank God. My hardest conversation that I've ever had, that's not true, my second hardest conversation that I ever had was with my mother. I had to tell my mother that she was dying. This was years ago, and my mother was a bit of a buffet of medical maladies. I'm going to take the mic out. And, she had rheumatoid arthritis and lymphedema and this weird pain, like, in the back of her knee that, like, only happened when it rained in November or during election season. We can all relate. And at one point when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, late-stage breast cancer, and we sort of knew it was the end, I had to tell my mother in consult with the doctor that she was, in fact, not going to make it, right? So I spent a lot of time with her. Now, I was the youngest of five, or am the youngest of five, and there's this weird thing that happens if you're, like, last in line, and that is that your parents kind of give up on you. So by the time my mom got to me, we were more friends than, mother-daughter. And so we gathered around my mother's bedside, and this was an experience that we'd sort of had a number of times in the past, because she was that woman that had this, like, weird kitchen table alchemy on Sundays with, like, blue pills or blue boxes and orange pill containers. And so I said to my mother, I said, you've lived a really good life, and it's the cancer's really progressing, and so you are going to die. And I knew the doctor very, very well, Dr. Overby in Virginia. And my mother said, go get this black book. And so I went dutifully, because I was the dutiful daughter, and I got this black book from her cabinet, and in it was a bunch of names. Like her first husband, and her second husband, and maybe her third husband, and the Kappa Delta sisters, and there was this mailman that we had for like 20 years, and so he was in the book, inexplicably. And my mother said, bring the book to me, I have one dying wish. As the dutiful daughter, naturally, I was going to oblige. She wanted to tell everyone what she actually thought of them. Let me say that one more time. She wanted to tell everyone what she actually thought of them. It was her deathbed wish. Now, as the dutiful daughter, I obliged, and it kind of went, it was practically Japanese, right? People would go in, they'd be very somber, they'd walk in, there's like a whole ritual, and then they would walk out. There was usually a thud at some point, like in the hospital room, and I wasn't sure if it was like against her or against the patient, or the person that I visited, and then they would storm out. Very ritualistic, and this happened over the course of like 3 weeks. I would invite people in from her little black book, and then they would leave. I never told you what the hardest conversation I ever had was, and that was with the doctor. So I'm in my mother's room. She'd had a double mastectomy, lympectomy. Like she was rough shape, right? And when she would sleep, it'd just be like this, like really labored breathing and all of it. And so one evening, I'm standing with my mother, and I'm like petting her bald head, and the doctor comes in, and he has that look. Like, we all know that look, right? That's just like, yeah, it's really tough. And so I go over to the doctor, and the doctor says, he starts talking, and I'm like, I understand, we've already made arrangements. And he's like, she's going to be fine. And I'm like, well, but we've made these arrangements, and so we're going to do this thing. And he's like, she's going to be fine. And then I keep talking, and he's like, she's going to be fine. And then I was like, oh my God, what did you just say? She's what? She's going to be fine. She's responding really well to the medication, you see, and she's going to be fine. She's going to pull through. Like, it's going to be great. My mother died about 10 years later and had 6 people at her funeral, and it was really lovely. But the hardest conversation I ever had was telling her that she was going to live, that she was going to pull through. Mom, you're going to be just fine. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next storyteller, Arvin Salas, who is actually looking for some housing in California. So for all those West Coast folks, I hear she takes care of plants and animals and is really good at both. So take it away.